I've done a lot of videos on my sawmill, and I wanted to do this one because I'm upgrading the rails. The sawmill's over there under cover behind the fence. The rails here are actually 30-foot long, 4-inch by 3-inch L, and I happened to get this from Logan Steel in Meriden. The problem with steel is it's kind of rubbery. It's actually pretty flexy. So you really have to get this as level as possible. So I've leveled each one of these blocks of wood. Really it's just to help spread the load over the ground. And I've got sawdust under the blocks. That way it's actually fairly dimensionally stable. Every year I'll probably need to level it at least a little bit. But everything's pretty level for now. And you can see I've snapped a chalk line. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that this whole thing is as straight as it can get. So I'll move the rail over to the chalk line and screw it down. What I may do is I may move the middle piece first in, then screw one side here, and then screw the end, because I'll probably have to pull it one way or another depending on how kind of hockey sticked it is. I don't think it's that far off. That rail over there is further off, so I may have to monkey with that a little bit more. But it won't matter. Once this is straight and it's actually screwed down to the bungs here, I'm going to bolt the whatever these are called. These are the bungs. So bolt the bungs down, and that way it'll maintain a specific distance. And I have a jig for that. It's a piece of wood with 2 lines cut in it, table saw, and this shows me how wide the rails need to be. So I can place this piece over 2 rails, effectively grabbing them, and then drill the holes and put the bungs actually in, bolt them, and then I know I've got a proper width. And whatever that ends up being, it'll be straight versus this, because this will be screwed down. Excited about these because 30-foot rails means I'll be able to get all this wood here and buy pretty much unending extensions from woodland mills. The problem is that the extensions come in pieces, and if you've got a setup like this, it's actually pretty difficult to level this and have pieces. So it's nicer to have a single piece if possible. And I know an extension, just a 6-foot extension, is about $400. Now I know that comes with the self-leveling feet and extra bungs and a dog, but this was $440 for the rails delivered. So now I can take all these pieces, put them on there, and hopefully have a really nice setup. Can get some long beams with that. Exciting. To show what I'm doing now, I've actually got these holes marked. The bungs have through holes in them, and I need to make some holes, so I just put the bung down in the right spot, hit it with some spray paint, and effectively it's stenciled holes. Now if you really want to go crazy, you can do a transfer punch on these, but it's actually not that easy to do, because getting the transfer punch inside here is plus minus. So it's just easier to hit with some spray paint. Now I've got a stenciled hole, effectively a guide, and these are sloppy fit anyway. They're not intended to be super exact. So yeah, now we can actually drill these. I've got these 2 partially drilled. Got to drill them with a smaller drill, and then 1/2 inch, and then bolt it, and then use the jig here and go all the way down the rails. Now that I know I have this one straight and level, so, and it's bolted, and this one will just simply then behave as we go all the way down. I'm getting her bolted down. 1, 2, 3 are bolted. The others are just generally spaced for where I want them. have to think of what kind of lumber you're going to be sawing and where you want your dogs. I probably need a third dog eventually, but I got one here. And for this one, I can either do a short piece there, or probably up to even 6 feet there, from here to here. Or I can go from there to here and do probably an 8-footer. And if I'm doing longer than that, I can come down this way and use a dog that's going to go here between these bungs, and these are 6 feet, not quite 6 feet apart, and then between there, and there is 12. So between here I can put a 10-footer, 12, and then any combination in between here. I'll be able to hold it. Ideally, another dog in the middle would be good, but we'll worry about that later. The bungs on the end do not have uprights. I'm not going to be turning against those, but the rest can hold uprights, so I can turn the logs against it. I'll get the rest of these bolted down. I'm just using a 1/4-inch drill bit to start the holes, and then 1/2 inch to finish, and it's kind of a sloppy fit. And the bolts are actually lock nuts, and so a little bit of anti-seize on there, bolted on down, it will be fairly solid. Then when that's bolted, remember this side is straight and level, so this will all be bolted at the correct width, and then all I have to do is level it, especially that side, make sure it's all level, and it will be pretty much as straight as I possibly can get. If we're plus or minus, you know, 1/8 of an inch over this kind of a span, I think we've done really well. Now let's keep going. Here we go. I think I've got it. Looks pretty level to me. Anybody wants to know, the distance here is 30 3/8 of an inch. So that happens to be, I've measured it at 30 1/2 and 30 3/8. I chose 30 3/8. Seems to be an okay distance. We're going to put the mill on it here in a minute. In case anybody's wondering, those are actually wheels that they're sort of like really big casters that I welded onto the mill, and it's pay no attention to that. Anyway, we're going to wheel the mill onto it and make sure it works. But I got all the holes. Just need 2 out of the 4 here, but some of these only have 2, some have 4. So I got the holes drilled in the steel, and what I did here was simple. You can see the grayish in there. I got this in the right spot and hit it with some gray spray paint, and that stencils where you want the holes. And you make sure you know that this one's straight. You make sure you adjust that. Make sure that's at a correct 90. Make sure you spray it, drill the holes, bolt it down. So now we've got 30 feet of rail. The dogs are down. Again, I just 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there, and I've got a dog over here too. I can probably stand to have a third one somewhere in here, but I'm not really concerned about that for now. So, a little bit of work to do. If you'll notice that the end of the rails here is completely smooth. So if the mill rolls off, guess what? It goes kabump, and that's bad. So I'm going to have to weld a piece on the ends, on both ends. Got it. Welded a couple of nubs. One here, one there, on the end of the rail, so this thing doesn't want to hop the rails, at least not on this end, because we're way off the ground here. But all the way down, there we go. Give her a push, see if she flies. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.